Mita, and I'm the most well-known volunteer at the Elm Association. Welcome to our podcast series called Youth Vision: The New Wave, where the association's volunteers discuss three major topics in today's society: digitalization, sustainable tourism, and opportunities for young people. All of this from the perspective of the generation that is leading the change today.
Can you hear the sound? Can you see the waves of the ocean and the seagulls flying up in the sky and the sun shining bright? We hope you do, and we hope you feel very relaxed because summer is approaching, and you might be listening to this podcast while on a train or on a bus or on a car traveling to a holiday destination, joining the other big wave of people that every summer decide to move from their hometown to another place to spend some time on vacation. And as waves come and go, apparently unnoticed, but leave their mark and consume the rocks of the sea, so do people, and so do tourists and travelers, that even if they come and go, they influence the places where they go to. And this is what we would like to talk about today in our podcast. We would like to answer some questions about how sustainable are our forms of tourism, if there is an environmental friendly way to travel, if it's worth for us, average little humans, even to think of sustainable ways to travel when there are, for example, people traveling in private jets and in other ways of transportation that consume a lot. Is it true that they're more consuming? Is it true that new technologies can be an opportunity, for example, electric cars? And in general, how affected is the planet right now from traveling? This is the new episode of Youth Vision: The Next Wave. I am Stefano from Italy.
I am Irene from Spain.
Steli from Romania.
Anna from America.
And this is it, so let's dive into it.
Tourism is about a tenth of the global human economy and has more environmental impact than a medium-sized country. But these impacts are much less studied and regulated than from other industry sectors of comparable size. The main perspective while researching and studying tourism is the social perspective and the economy one, but maybe we are moving the ecological one aside. Recent studies confirm that a large part of tourism that takes place in natural areas is based on enjoy adventure activities rather than appreciate the natural environment itself. So the nature is used as a background instead of the goal. And with this premise, we can already imagine that a lot of natural places in this world are harmed by mass tourism, which, like hyperconsumption of products in general, is unsustainable for the resources. If we think about pollution while traveling, it may be easy to conclude that the number of flights we take can lead to an excess in pollution, and that's true. But another important part of this pollution can also be an excess of recreational boats in a virgin reef, the overcrowding of a virgin beach that recently went viral because of a TikTok, the illegal construction of resorts in natural and protected areas. How many natural areas have been destroyed in recent years with the premise of building resorts to promote tourism and boost the economy? Does this society really believe it's worth it filling the world with resorts at the cost of destroying natural heritage? I'm sure that many of you can think of nearby examples, but let's start with this table. Anna, you live in the Canary Islands in Spain, right? Many eyes are currently of them because of this situation, because it's in a warring limit. Even some expert says that there's no way back. Can you tell us more about the situation there?
Yes, I do. A part of my family comes from Gran Canaria, the main island of the Canary Islands. There has been a huge tourism increase from the 1960s, which is only 100,000 people, to 4 million tourists that visit the island per year. This is 120% more than the population that is only 2.2 million among all the islands combined. So what's the big deal? Tourism equals money and jobs for the residents, but there has been big noticing environmental factors that impact the preservation of the tropical island that, it's irreversible and harms the ecosystem. From a news guide article, Sharon Blackhouse, who owns a company called Geo Tenerife, promotes training camps about sustainable tourism and how to correctly tour in these exotic areas around the world, creates a valuable point about hotel chains and resorts cementing over the beautiful landscapes of the island, as well as the idea that resorts are allowing more tourism to be held in the island, but not thinking about the environmental impact that it will have in terms of resources. There's always a concern about freshwater availability when on an island in the middle of the ocean, and what to do with rubbish and recycling facilities when it comes to waste. It's being discussed more and more due to the fact that the Canary Islands is indeed an island, and these impacts are seen more visibly due to its limited capacity. So it's a big problem within the island. Stefano, do you have anything else to say about possible touristic areas?
Yes, I do. Not about the sea, about another typical holiday destination, which are the mountains. I come from a place in the north of Italy that is quite close to the Alps, and the Alps are very big on winter sports. But unfortunately, in this period lately, every winter we get less and less snow in the mountains due to climate change and global warming. And so because of that, all the big industry of winter tourism and of ski resorts and of winter sports is getting severely threatened by this situation. And according to a report presented by Legambiente, which is an Italian environmental association, 90% of ski resorts in Italy are forced to use artificial snow, which is water frozen and then thrown into the environment with a huge amount of energy used. And 90% is such a high number. And in the Alps, also, we have problems with the lack of snow, but also with the lack of water. And in the same report, it is emphasized how several hotels are being forced to close or to adapt because there's not enough water to welcome the tourists and the customers. And it is very surprising from a place like the Alps that has glaciers, that has hundreds, if not thousands, of streams and rivers. And that is not a normal situation. I have a kind of a personal story related to this because in a place in the north of Italy, close to the border with Switzerland, where my family has been going on holidays for almost 40 years now, they plan to build a ski lift system, a cableway that would connect two resorts between Italy and Switzerland, creating the largest ski resort in Europe. And there are a lot of controversies regarding the construction of this ski lift system, and because they say that it would help with jobs, and because the mountain areas are getting depopulated, and a lot of people are moving away, and building this would increase the amount of money coming into the area. But of course, a lot of people say that this is, on one hand, damaging for the environment because the valley is very beautiful and almost abandoned and very natural, and this would impact negatively the area, and also that the model of development is not really sustainable because we don't have water and snow, and this is going to be much more impactful in the future. Like, for example, in 2026 we're going to have Winter Olympics in Italy, and with less and less water and snow, it's going to be very difficult. And Thomas Bach, the organizer of the International Olympic Committee, said that in 2040 only 10 countries will be able to host Winter Olympics. And a geography professor from Canada made a study and found out that in 2080 only the city of Sapporo in Japan, out of the cities who already hosted the Winter Olympics, would be able to host that.
So yes, we are living a really difficult situation right now. and maybe there's no way back, but if we keep this in mind, maybe as a society, we can manage to keep the damage as it is right now. But if we are sure about something, it's that we can do a lot of as a consumer, yes, a lot, more than we thought, but we need also the support of the politician to make new laws in this field. And until now, we only discuss about the problems while we are in the places, but let's also open the conversation about the ways of traveling. So let's think. You are planning a trip. First, maybe you book a flight that you find it was really cheap. Maybe in the destination you took another train, or you just rent a car to move around the area. So let's start from the beginning. How safe for the environment are flights?
Talking about travel sustainability, airplanes and private jets are a high topic for environmentalists due to the fact that both are known to contribute to the environmental impacts of greenhouse gases on the ozone layer. But all depends on usage, the size of the aircraft, and the passengers on the aircraft. There's been this huge misconception that have arose from the concept of private jets and commercial airlines in general from the mass media. I'm sure that most of you have heard about the Taylor Swift controversy where she is reportedly overusing her access to private jets to go to, quick destinations, and it's a genuine concern. But private jets are on demand, while companies such as Ryanair fly their planes as much as possible 24/7 with maximum capacity of travelers as well as luggage and everything else. It produces a lot more greenhouse gases than a simple flight. I'm not defending Taylor Swift by any means, because 14 times more pollution comes per passenger on private jets compared to commercial flights, which is over 50 times more if used more often, Taylor Swift. It's the talk about private jets is not a negative thing if used smartly and not short periods of time, but there's other problems to worry about than private jets. I think Stelly has some information about maybe some more types of transport that have negative effects.
Yes, actually, I do. Recently, I saw something online about electric vehicles polluting more than conventional vehicles, let's say. So I said, okay, I will do some research for today, and this is what I came up with. So apparently, I found out, as the movie name suggests, the good, the bad, and the ugly about electric vehicles. So, the good is the fact that electric cars in their life cycle tend to have lower greenhouse emissions than our conventional vehicles. According to a 2018 article by Vitra, with the source being Carbon Biffer, you get it, it's a play on words. Okay. The average life cycle emissions of a medium-sized electric vehicle in Europe are approximately 50 to 60% lower than those for an equivalent gasoline vehicle. So, now let's move on to the bad. The bad is the fact that during the manufacturing process, they have significantly higher greenhouse gas emissions compared to normal cars. An article I found from 2022 by Auto Express states that the manufacturing process of electric vehicles tends to produce 3.2 more tons of emissions than traditional cars. This is mainly due to the battery manufacturing process, which I can't really talk about because I'm not a chemist, a physicist, or a professor in this field, so I'm sorry. And then there is the ugly part. The ugly part is coming from the end of life. So basically the post-consumer phase, when the car is ready to be thrown away. So, even though both types of vehicles generate emissions during the disposal and or recycling phase, Electric vehicles have more challenges when it comes to their batteries. Recycling them can sometimes be tricky, although they can present more opportunities for recovering materials. But overall, they apparently pollute less during this stage. So, yes, they help reduce emissions, but in the end, if people don't know how, don't want to, or don't need to recycle them, the impact on the environment can be worse than internal combustion vehicles.
Wow, I don't know if Elon Musk will ever be able to recover from this.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, no, probably not. I agree. Well, I mean, jokes aside, thinking about the ways we travel and the ways we move more in general is very important. And it's not just us who are saying that. According to a report produced by Booking.com, the platform where you can book hotels and apartments and etc. According to this report called the Sustainable Travel Report from 2023, out of the 33,000 travelers who they interviewed, 76% says that they want to travel more sustainably in the coming 12 months. And about half of them also believe that more sustainable options should be cheaper, and right now they are too expensive. And they would like to receive some tips and suggestions about how to travel more sustainably on a budget. And because we would like to end this podcast on a positive note, we try to look for some ideas on how to travel in a more sustainable way. And according to Lonely Planet, which is the very famous tourist guide, according to a guide that they published on their website, there are 6 possible ideas to travel in a more sustainable way. One is to travel off-peak and off-beat, which means out of the more mainstream destinations and the most crowded periods. To travel by road or by train. To choose eco-conscious accommodations, so places that themselves take care of the environment and think critically about the way they function. To pack reusable items with us and to bring home what we bring with us. To spend our money locally, which means to try to support the economy of the place that we go to, thinking about the people who are directly involved. And also they add another point about animals, if we interact with animals, to do it carefully and to try to think also about the fauna of the place where we go to. And like what I think is the main point out of this is to think about where we go in a critical way and to be conscious about what we do, about how we move and what we take, and to be careful, to be mindful of the fact that sustainability is not just about green and ecology, it's also about us and about the people that we interact with. And we'll link in the description on an article by the New York Times where they interview a lot of people who are working in travel agencies and travel companies that are trying to focus on environmental issues and on sustainability. And the main point out of this article is that people should not be scared to ask questions and to reflect on what they of the impact that they might have while traveling, and that most of all there must be a shift in the mindset that is that traveling is not just a transaction, is not just I pay, I go, and I don't care about anything else, but is an opportunity to exchange and to meet people and to meet a place and a culture and to be a guest and for some time part of the place, and so to take care of that. And this is the main message that we want to pass today. Be mindful of your movements. It's a small thing, it's just, a drop in the ocean, to stay in the wave metaphor, but it's still something. And we hope that with our podcast we made you think a little. And that's it. So I'm Stefano from Italy.
Mirena from Spain.
Steli from Romania.
Anna from America.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.